Kai, I just wondered how disruptive all the COVID things have been to the team and how the team has played with guys being, knocked out of the lineup and so on.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a challenge, but it's been something that we've been emphasizing to get through as a team. Just try to stay present and have a win anyway mentality. Like I said, that's something we emphasize a lot in our program, just getting through adversity. Coming into this year, we knew that games would be canceled, players would be out. So it's been something that we've mentally been prepared for. And now it's just a time where we have to actually practice what we've been preaching this whole time.
Yeah, I was talking to someone who said that in the Oklahoma game, you guys were kind of a shell of what you are when you've got everybody. How does that play on your mind? How accurate is that?
I feel like you can look at it that way, or you can look at it as an opportunity to just rise and overcome. I think our guys kind of adapted that. Of course, we had some things that we wish we could have cleaned up in that game, but going forward, we may have to face problems like this again, and the mentality will remain in a space of just overcoming it and playing through that and being who we are, regardless of if we're down guys or have a coach out, just being who we are consistently.
Brian Davis, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, Kai, I was wondering, how did what did Shaka think of the game, and how did he communicate with you guys, and what's that been like the last couple of days?
Him and I spoke earlier today, and right after the game and before the game, he was kind of just saying he was proud of how we fought. And of course, we have some things like we're going to watch film today, and he's going to be in there on film via Zoom, and we're going to go over things that we can get better at. But he was proud of how hard we fought and came back in that second half, and he just told us to get ready for the next game.
Yeah, and along those lines, I mean, when y'all watch the film, you talked about this the other night, but all the things that went wrong, you still had a chance to win it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a positive vibe in the room because of that?
I mean, it was kind of a disappointing feeling because it was a rivalry game. But we were aware of the circumstances that we in, but we didn't want it to be a crutch because we know that we're still capable of playing at a level to where we can beat that kind of team. But they're a worthy opponent, and when we get to see them again, it'll be good. But it was kind of like we were kind of disappointed with the outcome because we felt like we could have beaten them even though we weren't full strength.
Sure.
Dustin McComas, go ahead.
I was hoping you could just kind of put it in perspective for us. I mean, we're clearly not in basketball shape or anything like that, but just the process of regaining your game conditioning and things like that when you have to be away from the program in quarantine and things like that. You went through that for a little while. I'm not sure how long, but how quickly can you regain that? Again, I'm not asking you to make excuses about the Oklahoma game, but just try to put in perspective for us. What is that process like getting back into game shape again?
No, absolutely. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it wasn't too tough because of the practices leading up to it. I just tried to put in my mind that I would have to max out, and then the coaches told us max out in the practice so our body isn't in shock when we get to running up and down in the game. So for me personally, it wasn't too rough, and Coach Rudy kind of gave me some workouts to do while I was in my dorm. So over the 7 days, I was still trying to make sure to maintain my body and just keep moving around and stay in somewhat of shape, but coming back, it was definitely, you had to get your win back in those first couple of practices. But for me personally, it wasn't too tough.
And I don't know how much you guys have dove into Kentucky yet, but I got to imagine when you guys do, rebounding will probably be a big emphasis point. How much do you personally want to attack that in that sort of matchup, and how much of a focus point do you think it is for the team, knowing the kind of length and athleticism they have?
Absolutely. I think they're going to be the most athletic team we've played against so far. So for me, in my mind, I want to go out and try to have a really good rebounding game and just play violently in terms of my athleticism and have my athleticism impact the game and impose my will. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's the kind of frame of mind I'm taking.
Nick Moyle, go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah, Kai, in the game against OU, it looked like, especially in the first half, it looked like you were trying to do maybe more off the dribble offensively than we've seen. Is that a part of your game that you're really trying to expand and work on?
Yes, sir, for sure. I work on all aspects of my game. Right now, I think for me, it's just a matter of picking the right spots, when to attack and when to move the ball and which direction to drive. I was watching some film earlier today, and just some things like that I can improve on is just driving away from the ball, try not to go back to where the ball came from. And that'll stop me from getting into some of those situations where I turn it over or I take a rough shot. But in terms of my individual development, I work on all aspects of the game, ball handling, passing, because that's the type of player I want to become. So yes, sir, that's definitely is a part of my game.
And I know, obviously, no, you're a big guy, but like you said, you want to develop all the aspects of your game. I mean, do you talk to, like Courtney and Matt and Andrew about, just some of the things that maybe you're not as accustomed to doing in terms of, just with having the ball in your hands?
Yes, sir. I speak to them. It's been over the past 2 years, they've taught me a lot in terms of just playing with patience, playing with pace, and knowing when to attack. Drew always gives me a little insight on like kind of how to get yourself going in the game. And one of his biggest things was always just get an easy one, like get a layup, get a dunk, just to get your momentum going. And that's been something they've taught me a lot. I've been very fortunate to have good veteran guards since I've been here, so they've kind of taught me a lot for sure.
Chip Brown, go ahead, please.
Kai, do you think the number of fouls in the OU game were guys, just trying to maybe do too much, be overly aggressive because you were down guys, getting out of roles a little bit? What do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I didn't see a lot of the fouls, to be honest with you, because my head was either turned or I was just trying to like make a play somewhere else. But if I were to go back and look at them again, I'll probably have a better answer for you. But from talking to my teammates, one in particular, he was just telling me he was trying to just play hard, and it ended up getting him in some trouble. But as far as like trying to do more than they're accustomed to, I couldn't really speak on that. But I'm sure they were just trying to play the right way and make the right plays. Nobody tries to foul all the time or tries to foul out, but I'm sure if I go back and look at it, I'll have a better answer for you.
What are you expecting in terms of teammates on the floor on Saturday?
You mean in terms of how many guys are going to have?
Yeah, and if you're going to have Ramey or Sims or Brock.
I don't know 100%. I know the 8 that we had last game, we're going to all be back again. But I think we may have more. We may not. I'm just waiting to see, like everybody else, what the results hold. And hopefully we're able to have everybody back.
In terms of you running up and down the floor, you hear the announcer saying, Kai's one of the best in the country and relentless. Where does that mindset come from?
I think it comes from me just knowing that that's something I'm really good at. And I'm not going to lie, the game's pretty fun when you're running up and down. That's one of my favorite parts of the game, just getting out in transition, because that's where I feel like special plays can be made, and it's good energy plays for the team too. It's fun when like a guard throws me a lob and I dunk it and I can scream and everybody's excited. So I feel like it's a good play for momentum. It's my favorite way to play. That's how I grew up playing. So I think that's where that stems from.
Got time for two last questions, one each for Dennis De La Pena and then Chris Tavares.
Circling back to the COVID thing, it's getting pretty real, for the program. And we usually think in terms of inconvenience as far as playing basketball. But now that it's getting closer, do you guys, your people, you have families, does your anxiety level go up at all? Especially with the Andrew Jones in mind, somebody with higher risk.
For sure. I try to stay level-headed, and I'm pretty close with God in terms of just knowing that I'm supernaturally protected. I don't know where some people's faith are at, but I pray a lot, and I pray for the guys, and I talk with my mom, and we pray for the team. But the Bible also tells us to be wise, and I feel like as a team, we make pretty good decisions. So whenever I am in a situation where I have to make a decision of, go out in public, go to a public place, I kind of try to think about guys outside of myself, like Andrew Jones, who are higher risk, or coaches who have families and stuff like that. So for sure, it is real. But I think the best thing we can do in this circumstance is try to stay level-headed, and try to stay positive.
Kai, you guys are taking on one of the blue bloods in Kentucky. I'm waving my hand if you can. Okay. You're taking on one of the bloods in Kentucky in college basketball, but they're having a down year. So how do you try and balance the fact that it's a rare opportunity to get to take on and beat a Kentucky and not letting that game be too much, but also keeping in perspective they're down, but they still are Kentucky and they can come back and be the Wildcats again at any moment,
I think for us, the biggest thing is to stay true to who we are and be the best version of ourselves and like play at our standard of basketball. And at the end of the day, it's a chance to go play in Rupp Arena. You don't know how many times you're going to get to go do that. So everybody on our team is going to be going all out. I know I am, and I'm going to be really excited for it. And I know the guys are too.
Listen, we haven't really asked you much about this because I know it's not one of your favorite topics to talk about, but COVID has, kind of become an issue now with this team.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mindset towards this? What is your mindset towards being around guys who are having to sit out? Now Shaka's out, given your history.
It's kind of weird being in close contact with guys, being told that you're in contact with guys who has a virus that can easily be spread without anybody knowing or without them having symptoms. It's kind of weird. It's uncertain. It's kind of like an unknowing feeling that you're around those guys. But I feel like we're doing a pretty good job for the most part with the contact tracing and isolating guys who test positive and stuff like that. So I just try to do the best I can to stay clean, stay safe, try to limit my, interaction with my teammates, which is hard to do at times. But, just to say for being healthy is a sacrifice I got to try to make.
I mean, the team doctors, have they given you any sort of, I don't know if more rules or things like that? I don't know if that's the right term, but any extra precautions that you have to take than the other guys?
No, pretty much the same protocols everybody else, social distance, wear a mask, wash your hands, just pretty much the simple day-to-day things that they'll tell anybody else to do.
Cool.
Dustin McComas, go ahead, please, sir.
Andrew, you're a guy that's been through a lot. You've also been around Texas a lot. You've seen a lot of different teams, a lot of wins, a lot of losses. What kind of perspective did you give your teammates after the Oklahoma game, knowing that there are just so many unusual circumstances going around that can kind of affect the program and its ability on the court?
It kind of reverts back to what Coach Smart says. We just got to know our identity regardless of the circumstances, be in our circle, be true to what we do, whether Coach Smart's there, whether I'm not there, whether we have everybody, whether we don't have, or we shorthanded. And that's the big message that we just got to continue to drive. Don't get brand new, continue to play our brand of basketball, regardless of who's out there on the court, and try to win anyway.
What do you think is the one thing that you guys have got to do at Kentucky to be able to have a chance to leave there with a win?
We got to guard better. We definitely have to step it up defensively, be more sound. We can't foul as much as we did in Oklahoma and just walk them to the free throw line. I think we had a season low in deflection, so we need to get our hands on the ball without committing so many fouls, and then everything else will take care of itself.
Chris Tavares, go ahead, please.
Andrew, I'll ask you the same thing I asked Kai. I'm waving at you right now if you're looking for me. How do you balance the fact that you're playing Kentucky, one of the blue bloods in the history of college basketball, and keeping that in perspective that this is just another game, it's not making it more than what it is, while also knowing that Kentucky's having a down year right now and they're not playing their best, but not overlooking them because they can still be Kentucky at any moment and come out and have a great game? How do you balance those two things?
We have to be the hungrier team. We just lost against Oklahoma, so we don't want to go on a 2-game losing streak. We want to snap that streak, come back more aggressive. We don't really care what they have going on because it's about us. At this point, we need to make another statement after a loss, and we need to respond better than we did and play better. So regardless of the team and the situation, whoever we got next, that next team was just going to pay, and we have to go out there and play our brand of basketball and win.
And also, you guys have been without Shockey. You found out he tested positive on Monday. Have you guys it's not a permanent adjustment that you have to make to practice without him, and he's still able to be there in Zooms and everything, but you'll be without him again on Saturday. Have you guys adjusted to life without him for this period now?
I mean, the coaches do a good job of bringing the same energy as Coach Smart. I think we all do a good job of being a branch off of him and being able to, be in line with what he has for the team. So I feel like as long as everybody brings energy that exceeds his or matches his energy that he brings every day, we'll be fine. And I think we're doing a good job of that.
Thanks.
Chip Brown, go ahead, please.
Andrew, the fouls against OU, from your perspective, did it look like guys were, trying to do too much, trying to make up for guys not being there? What was your sense of that?
Just we were kind of being a little overly aggressive. The refs were calling it really close, and they weren't, allowing us to be physical and aggressive like we normally are. So we didn't really do a good job of adjusting our aggression with, fouling them and, giving them, and one opportunities. So, I just feel like we just need to do a better job of being sound on defense, get better, and don't let it happen again.
Who's the top energy guy on this team?
Top energy guy as far as what, defense or in general?
Yeah, or just brings it all the time and, always has the juice.
We got a lot of guys on the team with a lot of energy and a lot of juice. Matt's always has a high energy on defense, talking. Kamaka, I'm a high energy guy. We got a lot of guys, Kai. So there's a lot of guys who bring a lot of energy and a lot of spirit to the team, especially defensively.
Jerry Tipton, go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah, Andrew, you mentioned earlier about Texas needing to play Texas's brand of basketball. How would you describe that?
Defensive minded, aggressive, solid on defense, getting a lot of deflections, getting out in transition and playing together, pick and roll, spreading the floor, dribble drive, kick, a lot of touches and a lot of movement, and that's how we identified as rebounding the ball and playing hard.
And I wondered, Jay Lucas is on the Kentucky coaching staff. He was at Texas last year. I wonder what memories or anything come to mind with your time with him.
Coach Jay, man, I miss him a lot. He was a great mentor, really knowledgeable of the game and, had a great personality. So I had a lot of great memories, of him being around. Just can't pick one off the brain right now, but, it was a lot of good times. But when we play them tomorrow, all that goes out the window.
Thank you.
Brian Davis, circling back.
And every plan.
Yeah, Andrew, I also wanted to ask you too, on the court, how has it been for you as you move up the opponent's scouting report? You're getting more attention defensively. I mean, you go off for 18 in the first half against Tech, then Tech's going to want to try to shut you down. Oklahoma's going to be wary of you. Kentucky's going to be wary of you. How has that been this season? Getting on more defensive pressure as you've done so well.
I mean, I feel like it's a great thing that teams have to pay more attention to me. That means that I'm doing something positive to make my team win and also can help my teammates get a lot of more open looks and easier opportunities as well because of the adjustment on the scouting report. But like you said, at the beginning of the season, I was playing rough and people were questioning my ability and shooting all that stuff. And now I'm hot. So it is what it is. I just continue to try to get better game by game, try to play my brand of basketball and try to just continue to get better, continue to do the little things that help us winning. Because my offense is starting to get a lot better, but I'm starting to rebound more, get more deflections and more assists as well. So everything goes hand in hand. I'm just doing what I can, to help the team win.
Yeah. If Shaka was here, what would Shaka say that he wants you to work on?
Get more deflections. I didn't have enough deflections in the last game. And, just stay confident and just continue to be a leader out there on the court with them guys, continue to help them, make sure everybody's in the right position and give us the best chance to win.